something like that. At 6 or 7 years old, that's my first musical memory. Um, had no idea how that would impact pretty much my whole life, my musical tastes, my influences. Even to this day, at 54, the music's a little bit more in the background now, but it's still there. We lost, maybe for my generations and the next generation after me, we lost probably one of the most influential guitar players last night. He was my Eddie Van Halen. Van Halen didn't exist then, or at least not to my knowledge when I was listening to Kiss as a child, really. 5, 6, 7. I think I was 6 or 7. And Kiss Alive was the first album I heard at my friend's house at a sleepover. I don't remember if we listened to it from the beginning, so Deuce would obviously be first, but there was something about that intro to Cold Gin that is has imprinted on my mind as my first real memory. And I didn't see the album. He didn't show me the album cover until afterwards, and then I saw what these guys looked like. Um, I was hooked. Um, I got. I remember getting back from that and telling my mom I needed a Kiss album. I don't remember the year. I don't remember what my first album was because I was young, but I remember it could have been 77 that I heard it. So I think I remember Love Gun. Love Gun was actually my first Kiss album. And then I kind of went backwards from there. But Ace Frehley has been such a huge part of my life, and I'm sure countless others as well. He's the one artist, musician I've seen probably the most out of everybody. I don't think I've really felt the weight of losing a celebrity, an artist, quite like this one. The days are coming. They're coming. We're all getting older. Um, I never thought, I just didn't know how I would react. And I'm sure it's the same for a lot because you grew up with these musicians, and they were more than musicians. There was a mystique. There was the characters. They were always there. When you get home from school, throw on a record. I don't think not one album has influenced me, my taste in music, guitars, than this album. I hope you can see it. This was, I think I wore out 2 copies of this album. I used to stare at that cover for hours trying to figure out what he looked like without makeup. Amazing album from start to finish. I can still remember as a kid dropping the needle and that intro to Rip It Out, just like, whoa. Every song on that album is part of my DNA, it feels like. Probably not the best influence for a 6 or 7 year old. Um, Snowblind, Ozone, Wiped Out, obviously about partying and what have you. And then probably one of my favorite instrumentals, songs of all time, Fractured Mirror. Um, this is a tough one uh, because, again, you don't realize the impact somebody has in your life. Everything, even this my little studio here, which I started about 4 or 5 years ago. This has always been my inspiration. Um, as a kid, I knew I wanted to have my own studio just to do my own music, and this is Ace has always been a huge influence. And it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You like I said, as a kid, you go and walk. Every time I walked into my room, Kiss posters all over the wall. They're there. They were there. They were my escape. It was music and bicycles, which is ironically at 54 is still the majority of my life. Um, I haven't listened to much Kiss lately or Ace. My musical tastes have kind of shifted. I don't deny my love for them and the influence, but I still listen occasionally for nostalgia because there's no doubt that they're a huge impact in my life. I didn't really listen to Kiss when Ace left. Even though they were probably, people think they're the 2 worst albums they did, or maybe just one of Dynasty and Unmasked. They had 3 Ace songs on them, so each. So those were the albums I loved because Kiss was Ace for me, Ace Frehley. Um, I still have his pictures, my autograph with the pic that he handed me in one at a show, small club, back when nobody cared about Ace, early 90s, late 80s. He was, nobody cared before the reunion. I mean, it was small clubs. One was a bar where he was basically standing in front of me. And after his solo, he just handed me his pic, and I still have it with the autograph picture. Um, Sorry. Uh, it's a hard one, guys. It's hard as you get older and you realize your own mortality is long as with everybody else's. Earlier, we lost Ozzy. That didn't hit me as hard as this because I wasn't a huge Ozzy fan, um, and he didn't have the influence on me that Ace Frehley has. That's why I love Les Paul's. I have his tattoo of the solo album on my arm. His music is tattooed basically on my soul. I've seen him many times. I didn't go see him on these last couple runarounds because it didn't it didn't seem like Ace to me. It's getting older, slower. The songs weren't the same. Excuse me. I need to take a drink. Um, it just wasn't what I remembered, and for that, I think I said my goodbyes maybe earlier, but not knowing that at some point this happens. We all we're all on the same runway. Excuse me. But this was kind of unplanned. I don't tune to E flat. This is in E, so I'm really sloppy. I haven't been playing much, but there's no denying this man's influence on my life. Hits harder than I really thought it would. So it's this is a hard one, guys. This is hard. To all his fans out there, I feel your pain. I'm gonna miss him. I know we all carry his memories. Um, he wasn't a virtuoso on the guitar. He was kind of sloppy at points and times, but he had that attitude. He had that swagger. He was rock and roll. Uh, I never idolized or really put any musicians or artists on a pedestal. I've said it many times. This is as close as it comes for me. Was Ace. Um, Maybe like that older brother that you kind of looked up to for me. Maybe that's what he was. Um, Unfortunately, I kind of had the same personality as far as just wanting to party and have fun. Luckily, I got out of that road much earlier than he did, and that's I'm grateful that maybe I didn't pursue music because I probably would have ended up dead by now. But is that because I've listened to Ace when I was 6 and everything was partying and partying and partying? I don't know. But I do know that this album probably one of the best rock albums in my opinion. Um, the best songs, and Fractured Mirror is just, to me, one of those. It's a song that doesn't get as much credit as I think it deserves because it's perfect. there's this incredible build, this peak, and then it fades off. And it's just, to me, it's kind of like just like life. And Ace Frehley, rest in peace.